The Montreal Canadiens are playing a dangerous game of roster roulette, and their latest trade target might just be the perfect gamble or their biggest mistake yet. While everyone's been obsessing over Montreal's need for a second-line center, a new proposal has emerged that could solve their scoring woes in a completely different way. Trading for former 40-goal scorer Jonathan Marchessault from the Nashville Predators. Let's cut straight to the chase here. Marchessault isn't a flashy, headline-grabbing acquisition that gets fans excited on social media. But sometimes the best moves are the ones that fly under the radar, while addressing real, tangible needs. Montreal desperately needs proven scoring depth in their top six, and Marchessault represents exactly that, even if he's coming off a disappointing season. The proposed trade is surprisingly simple in its structure. Montreal would send 2 draft picks, a 2026 second-rounder and a 2026 fourth-rounder, to Nashville in exchange for Marchessault and a 2026 second-round pick. Essentially, the Canadiens will be moving down in draft position while acquiring a veteran scorer who still has term left on his contract. What makes this deal particularly intriguing is the context surrounding both organizations. Nashville signed Marchessault last offseason after he posted a career-high 41 goals with the Vegas Golden Knights in 2023-24, expecting him to be a cornerstone piece of their offensive attack. Instead, the 34-year-old managed just 21 goals in his first season with the Predators, a significant drop-off that has both parties questioning whether this marriage is working out. From Montreal's perspective, this could be a classic change of scenery success story. Sometimes players just don't fit with certain systems or organizations, and Marchessault's struggles in Nashville might have more to do with chemistry and deployment than actual declining skill. The Canadiens have shown they can maximize offensive talent, and adding a proven goal scorer could be exactly what their young core needs. The financial implications of this trade work surprisingly well for Montreal. With Carey Price's contract likely headed to LTIR, the Canadiens would have sufficient cap space to absorb Marchessault's $5.5 million annual hit without creating any immediate salary cap complications. That's crucial flexibility that allows them to add talent without compromising their future financial planning. But here's where this trade gets really interesting from a roster construction standpoint. According to current projections, Montreal's second line features Kirby Dach at center with rookie sensation Ivan Demidov and Zach Bolduc on the wings. Marchessault would represent a significant upgrade over Bolduc, bringing veteran leadership and proven production to a line that could use both. The injury concerns surrounding Montreal's forward group make this potential acquisition even more appealing. Patrick Lane missed significant time last season with various injuries, and Dach's status for the upcoming season remains questionable following his knee surgery. Having Marchessault provides crucial depth and insurance against the injury bug that has plagued the Canadiens' forward group. From Nashville's perspective, this trade makes sense if they're serious about retooling their roster. Marchessault's $5.5 million cap hit for the next 4 seasons represents a significant financial commitment to a player who's entering the twilight of his career. If the Predators are looking to get younger and more cost-effective, moving Marchessault's contract could free up valuable cap space for other moves. The risk-reward calculation for Montreal is fascinating to analyze. On one hand, they'd be trading draft capital for a player who just posted his lowest goal total since 2018-19. On the other hand, they'd be acquiring a proven scorer who has multiple 30-goal seasons on his resume and brings Stanley Cup championship experience from his time in Vegas. What makes Marchessault particularly appealing is his track record of clutch performances. This isn't just a player who pads stats in meaningless games. He's shown up in big moments throughout his career, including during Vegas's championship run. That kind of playoff experience and mental toughness could be invaluable for Montreal's young players as they learn what it takes to compete at the highest level. The stylistic fit is another factor worth considering. Marchessault is a crafty, intelligent player who excels at finding soft spots in opposing defenses and converting scoring chances. He's not overly reliant on blazing speed or raw athleticism, which means his game should age relatively well even as he moves deeper into his 30s. But let's address the elephant in the room, the term remaining on Marchessault's contract. For more years is a significant commitment to a player who will turn 35 during the upcoming season. If the production continues to decline, Montreal could find themselves stuck with an expensive underperforming asset that becomes increasingly difficult to move. The draft pick compensation in this proposed trade is relatively modest, which suggests Nashville might be motivated to move Marchessault's contract sooner rather than later. Trading a second and fourth round pick for a player of Marchessault's caliber and experience represents solid value, especially if Montreal believes they can help him rediscover his scoring touch. This trade also fits with Montreal's apparent strategy of being selective with their prospect and young player assets. Rather than giving up promising prospects or current NHL roster players, they'd be using draft capital to acquire proven talent, a philosophy that makes sense given their timeline and competitive aspirations. The psychological impact of adding a veteran scorer like Marchessault shouldn't be underestimated either. Young players like Cole Caulfield and Nick Suzuki could benefit enormously from having an experienced goal scorer in the lineup who can share knowledge about positioning, shot selection, and game management. From a development standpoint, Marchessault could serve as an excellent mentor for prospects like Demidov as they adjust to North American hockey. Having veterans who can guide young players through the inevitable ups and downs of an NHL season is invaluable, especially for an organization focused on maximizing their prospect development. The timing of this potential trade is crucial as well. Montreal is entering a phase where their young core is ready to take the next step, but they need veteran support to maximize their potential. Adding Marchessault provides that veteran presence while still maintaining the team's long-term salary cap flexibility. As training camp approaches and roster decisions loom, this trade represents exactly the kind of calculated risk that could define Montreal's season. Will Kent Hughes pull the trigger on a deal that prioritizes immediate improvement over long-term asset accumulation? The answer could determine whether the Canadiens take another step forward in their rebuild or continue to rely primarily on internal development. What's your take on this potential blockbuster? Is Marchessault worth the risk, or should Montreal stick with their young players and draft picks? Let me know in the comments below.